So thank you for joining us. You're now live on the State of Scottish Football, and I'm joined by Graham. Thank you for joining me, Graham.
I'm delighted to be back and delighted to be joined with you, the legend, Reagan.
Yeah, so we've got a busy day of Scottish football, Graham. It's never a dull moment. So I just wanted to talk to you. We've just learned in the last 5 minutes or so that Martin Boyle is subject to a bid from Saudi Arabia, which we believe to be in the region of £3 million. Do you think this is a good move for Sean Maloney to accept the bid, and also for Martin Boyle as well, Graham?
I think there's no doubt that for the last few seasons, Martin Boyle has been Hibs' best player. You know, that pace he's got, the energy he's got. I think it'd be a massive miss for Hibs. But whatever, if it's £3 million, I think that's a massive bid, and it's probably too good to turn down. I think for Martin Boyle, it'll be a great move, trying something different, experiment with something different. He will be a massive miss to Hibs and Maloney, but I think it's a bid that I don't think they can turn down.
I mean, Graham, I definitely agree with that. The only thing I would say to him is that obviously the club from Edinburgh has been very good for him, and maybe the home attachment might be something that he'll think of, because obviously his wife plays for the ladies team as well, Graham, as well. So
Yeah,
that
yeah, definitely. I think that that'll be a massive thing for Martin Boyle, and I think you look back at that semi-final against Rangers where he was absolutely outstanding. He will be a massive, massive miss to Hibs if he goes. And like you said, he has been brilliant for Hibs. But I just think trying something a bit different, going to a different country, I think that would be a massive lure for him. And as I say, if the bid's £3 million, that for me is a very, very tempting offer for Hibs.
Yeah, and I just want to ask you in terms of Sean Maloney. They've got a big game in the Scottish Cup tonight. In terms of that, they're playing a very informed Cove Rangers, who are sitting top of the league. Do you expect this game to be a big one for them?
I think it will be. I think you would expect Hibs with home advantage to win the game. But if you look at Cove Rangers, they're sitting pretty top of League One. They look very much like they're going to get into the Championship. I know it's early days, but they've got a lot of experience there. Got the Mitch Megginson, they've got Ian Vigurs, Fraser Fivey, Mark Reynolds they've just signed. They've got Rory McAllister. They've got a lot of proven players. And I think it'll be a difficult game for Hibs, but I would expect at home for Hibs to get through that game.
Do you expect Sean Maloney to go very strong, Graham?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll want to try and see what some of the new players are like. Ewan Henderson. I don't know if they've got permission yet to play the new guy they signed from. Where was it they signed him from? I can't mind.
Norway.
I don't know if they've got permission to play him yet, if he's got his visa on that, but I think he will go at his full strength as he can, because you don't really want to be another cup shock, especially at Easter Roads. Hopefully, you would like to think Hibs will get a decent attendance for that, Thursday night. I think it's on telly. But I would think Maloney will go strong for this, because you really don't want to be in for a cup shock.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to everyone, thank you for joining us. Remember, you can comment on the YouTube, and I'll read out as many comments as possible. And you can put in your score predictions as well. But in terms of this one, it'll be an interesting one, because Cove Rangers, like I say, Graham, are there top of their league, so they'll be a very difficult prospect opponent for Hibs tonight.
Yeah, they've been flying. As I say, they're 8 points good at the top of League One. They're in a very, very good position. They've got some very good players there. And I think for me, Hibs they've had a decent season so far. I think Maloney's done all right since he's come in. They played against Celtic last week, and listen, Celtic in the first half were outstanding. I don't think a lot of teams could have lived with them. But second half, Hibs are a bit more on the ball. You can see what Maloney's trying to do. I think Cove, with Paul Hartley, the ex-Hibs and ex-Hearts manager there, an ex-player, I think this will be a difficult test. But I think Hibs, I'm going to say 3-0 to Hibs tonight, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting scoreline. For me, I'm going to go 2-1 to Hibs.
Very tight game.
Yeah. Next game, we're going to move on to a club that is close to your heart, and it is the Robbie Nielsen side. And in terms of John Souttar, one of the talking points that I said to you earlier, Graham, was, do you think that that Rangers Football Club should try and tie John Souttar down in the next 48 hours to make sure that he's not cup tied for the Scottish Cup if both Rangers and Hearts progress to the last 16 as we predict they probably will?
My simple answer to that is yes. I personally don't want John Souttar to still be here at the end of this month. I would like him to leave. Rangers know how much Hearts want for him. Whether they think he's, the price that we're asking for is another matter. They know they can get for nothing in the summer. But for me, I personally would like John Souttar to leave now. The big thing for me is when this transfer window closes on the 31st of January, Hearts play Rangers at Ibrox on the 6th of February. For me, if John Souttar's still a Hearts player, I don't think he plays in that game. I don't know how he can. I can understand why he played on Tuesday. I know, like in the build-up to the game, I had said on a couple of group chats that I didn't want Souttar to play. I understand why he did. Robbie Nielsen sees him as one of our better players. For me, he hasn't been our best defender. I wouldn't have played him. But, I was watching the game on our stream, and I could, the first few minutes, every touch he got booed. I completely understood that. Had I been there, I wouldn't have booed him, only because while he still plays for Hearts and he's still in the Hearts strip, I expect him to give everything. It was interesting to hear a lot of the crowd booing and some fans cheering. It was a very strange atmosphere. But I hope that Rangers do come in and take him this month, because I don't want him here in January.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you, do you think that'll play a part in terms of Robbie Nielsen's team selection on Saturday? Because obviously he'll maybe expect John Souttar to leave between now and the 31st of January. And in terms of being cup tied to Rangers, or do you think he'll try and play him on Saturday against Auchinleck Talbot?
I think he'll play him, and I think he'll play him because he sees Souttar as a massive part of the team, which I do understand because, listen, John Souttar, while he's not been our best defender this season, is one of our better players. I can't deny that. So I think he will play his strongest side, and I think John Souttar is part of that. But just me personally, and listen to quite a few Hearts mates that I've seen as well, they don't want Souttar to still be here, and neither do I. I hope Rangers do come in with a bid. But again, I understand if they don't, because they know they can get him for nothing in the summer. But I just think for Hearts in particular, I would like him to leave by the end of this month.
Yeah, and in terms of your team, Graham, they got off to a great start on Tuesday night and they won 2-0. I just want to ask you, in terms of bringing more players in, do you expect them to bring more players in? Because for me, they still need to bring another striker, and obviously they had Josh playing up front on Tuesday night, but he scored the 2 goals. But I still think they're missing something there, Graham, in terms of if Boyce gets injured.
When I saw the team initially, and I saw we didn't have a recognised striker on the pitch, I was concerned. Ginnelli's played up front before, and I do like it because he's got pace to burn. He can get in behind, and a couple of times in the first half he caused St Johnstone problems. But I did worry where the goals are coming from. Second half, he's got 2 goals, but for me, the standout player was Barry Mackay. Barry Mackay was absolutely outstanding on Tuesday. He created both the goals. It was a constant threat. But I completely agree. I think, and I've said this before, we are still 2 strikers short. We're going to lose Armand Nondoué, and for me, that's not a massive loss. He's not done enough. Ewan Henderson was on the bench on Tuesday. Again, he's done great for Alloa, but for me, he's not good enough for Hearts. I would like to see us sign a kind of a little enlarged contingent. I want to see us sign a quick striker that can run in behind. I like Ginnelli out wide, but I know Robbie said on Tuesday after the game he's wanting to train Ginnelli into being a striker, which I get, but I'd like to sign a recognised striker. And I'd like to see us in a physical striker as well, so you can have that bit of blend of both. It's a worry for me that Liam Boyce again still isn't fit. He's had a bit of a break. I'm hoping he will start on Saturday, but we are probably still, for me, 2 strikers short. The rest of the side for me, absolutely no issues there, but we have to sign at least 2 strikers.
Yeah, and would there be someone in mind that you've got that you would think, Graham?
I don't know what Lionel Messi's up to just now. If he's getting a game for PSG, I wouldn't mind him. I've said this before as well. I would like to see us doing what Celtic have done and go down the Asian market route. You know, they've obviously got in Kyogo, they've got in Hatate, they've got in Maeda. That's the kind of market I want to see us going down because I think you can get good quality from there. I've not got a name in mind. I know we have been looking at a couple of players from Japan. I don't know what's happening with that. But I just hope that by the end of this month, we've got 2 strikers in. Armand Nondoué, I think, is going back to France. There's a club called Le Mans are in for him. So I've said again before, the recruitment that we've done this season has been excellent. It's been far better than we've had in recent years. It concerns me slightly that Luc Damour is still in that squad. He's not played for about 4 years. But I'm impressed with how Hearts are doing. I was pleased with aspects of the game on Tuesday. We weren't great in spells, but 3 points is all that mattered. We got the job done. We've moved 8 points clear. So yeah, happy days for me.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for everyone that's commented so far. And thank you for commenting. If you've got any thoughts on anything so far, just let us know. Next thing, Graham, I just wanted to touch on with you is what do you make of Alfredo Morelos getting called up for his national squad? Because I've heard a lot of things in the last 24 hours that possibly this could see Rangers putting in a request for the Celtic Rangers game to be called off.
I hope, as a kind of neutral here, that doesn't happen because an Old Firm game, even for me as a Hearts fan, is something I actually look forward to watching. You know, you've got the intensity, you've got the rivalry, and I quite like watching it. So for me, I hope that doesn't happen. Listen, I think Rangers have got decent players there. You know, I know Aribo's been away at the African Nations. Sakala, for me, is a very good player. Kemar Roof, I don't know if he's injured. I think it would be a mistake for me if they called it off. But listen, that's up to Rangers. If they want to do that, that's entirely up to them. But I hope from a neutral point of view that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and in terms of Rangers, you spoke about there, GVB said today that Kemar Roof will be available for the game tomorrow night, so that wouldn't be a problem. In terms of that, well, I hope it goes ahead because I've got a ticket to go to the game, and also I think I said this on social media last week. I don't think you should be allowed to call off the game if 3 or 4 players are not there because that's why Rangers and Celtic have got big squads. You've got big squads for a reason, and just because Kyogo or Alfredo Morelos is your big players, you should be able to cope.
I completely agree. You know, we were told last week that we were going to have the 5 subs. We're going to have 9 subs on the bench now. And we said last week that this is going to suit the big clubs. I think this is happening quite a lot in England, especially as well. You're seeing a lot of games getting called off for certain things. I know COVID's had a part of that, but you're also seeing a lot of clubs looking to get games called off because they don't have a big enough squad. For me, I think you've just got to get on with it. You know, bite the bullet, play the game. And as a fan, I want to see the games getting played. You know, if this was the same, if it was Hearts, I wouldn't want us to call games off. I want to get the games played. And we've already heard Neil Doncaster said a while ago that there's no scope for fitting fixtures in. So I don't know how he's going to manage to do that. But I completely agree. I think you've got big squads. I think you have to try and use them and utilise them. You know, I don't know. Rangers might have a couple of really good young players in there they can maybe bring up. I know they've got Scott Wright in the squad, who I think is a very good player, actually. They could use him if they needed to. So I think, you know, just get the games on, get these games played and get the fixtures sorted.
Yeah, because one of the biggest problems for me is that people are saying that Alfredo Morelos is away with Colombia, Joe Aribo's away. But I mean, you could play the game in 2 months' time, and Joe Aribo could pick up an injury, and same with Alfredo Morelos. So what is the point of cancelling a game? You know, and the same with if you look at Celtic. Celtic will say that Kyogo probably won't play in the game, but if they postpone the game for a month's time, Kyogo could still be injured anyway. So what's the difference?
I think it sets a really dangerous precedent where you're going to have people looking to get games called off left, right, and centre. I think we just have to get through these fixtures, get them played. You know, fans want to go. We're allowed back at games. Fans want to go to games. They don't want to see games called off again. And I think, yes, Morelos is a massive player. Aribo's a massive player. But Rangers have got other massive players on that squad, and I'm sure they could utilise that. And I think when that Celtic Rangers game comes about, I mean, I'm looking forward to it already, and I'm not even a Rangers or Celtic fan. So I don't know what Rangers and Celtic fans must be thinking about this game. Get the game played, get the fixture sorted, and, Rangers will have plenty of quality to come back in that squad. I've got no doubt about
that. Graham, we have Scott Howie. Scott Howie in the comments is asking what team you support. He has a Jambo, mate. He supports the Jam Tarts. So he's not of a Celtic persuasion, no.
Don't hold it against me. I'm not that bad.
The next thing we're just going to move on to, Graham, is Celtic, because they are close to making a signing to their midfield.
Yeah, Matt O'Reilly, 21-year-old. He's had 49 games for NK Dons and scored 10 goals. It looks to me like a signing that is definitely going to suit the way Postecoglou wants to play. Out of possession, he looks like a player that likes to press. And I think in possession, he will be somebody that likes to support the strikers. So I think he'll be a good player. If you do the customary kind of YouTube clip, and they only show the decent parts, but I think he looks quite a good player. He looks accomplished on his left and right. He's going to get up and support the strikers. He's got a decent shot on him. So I think this will be a good signing for Celtic. The only issue I find is Celtic have got an abundance of very talented midfielders in there. So where is he going to fit into that team?
The thing for me, Graham, that Brendan Rodgers always used to say, you can never have too many good players. So I think that David Turnbull's going to be about for another 4 weeks. So there's no point beating around the bush. He'll probably go in there when Rogic goes away to international duty. And you've also got James McCarthy, who's brought in for a lot of money. You've also got Beaton as well. So you've got a lot of players there, Graham. So I don't think that there'll be any excuses for Ange Postecoglou.
No, definitely. I mean, it was only 45 minutes, but from what I saw of Hatate against Hibs, he looks an exceptional player. So composing the ball, always looking to create, always available for a pass. His vision, fantastic. I think he will probably be our mainstay in that Celtic team. I think Tom Rogic has been a new lease of life under Postecoglou. I feel a bit sorry for David Turnbull. I've always rated him. I've always liked him as a player. He just can't seem to keep himself fit. But when he is available, he's a quality footballer. I think they've got Ideguchi as well still to come in. I think O'Reilly, as I said, I think he's only 21. He's got his whole future ahead of him. Once he gets in that Celtic team, he has to make himself really difficult to replace. But I think Postecoglou's got a very, very good side there now. And from what I saw, the second half against Hibs, yes, you can understand why they were a bit slackened off a little bit. They put a lot of work into the first half. It's the first game back. But from what I saw in the first half, Celtic played at such a great tempo and great speeds. It was very hard for Hibs to match. And I think, as I say, I think O'Reilly will, when he gets himself available, I think he will be a very difficult player to replace if he can get in that team.
So, Graham, a question for you and a question for the people in the comments. Do you expect Celtic to bring any more players in during this transfer window?
We spoke about this last week, and I said that Postecoglou does what every manager does. He tells the press what the press want to hear. He said he wouldn't bring anyone else in, and he's signing this guy O'Reilly. I still think, and I said this last week, I still think Celtic need another goalkeeper. Joe Hart's an exceptional goalkeeper, there's no doubt about that. But a backup, Barkas hasn't been fantastic. I know Scott Bain's just signed a new extension, but I think Celtic need a bit better than those two. So for me, I think they need another goalkeeper. The rest of the squad, I think, looks fine. Again, I said this last week as well. I think Tony Ralston has been exceptional for Celtic, and I never thought I'd be saying that. So I think only a goalkeeper. I don't know what you think yourself, mate.
Yeah, we've got someone in the comments who's saying two more. He thinks that Celtic will bring two more players in. What places in the squad do you think they'll bring two more players in? Because for me, I'm thinking left back. Now, I know every time I come on here, I talk about Greg Taylor. I thought Greg Taylor played very well on Monday night, but I still think left back is an area where Celtic need to strengthen.
Can we highlight that? You've just praised Greg Taylor. I'm keeping that. I think left back, probably Cooper position that they look to strengthen in, but I think Celtic have got a very good squad there now. What I'll be interested in, I don't know what you think about this. Do you think that Celtic will end up playing both Maeda and Kyogo as a strike partnership, or will Postecoglou stick with like the one up front?
I don't think he'll play two up front game. I think they'll just play. I think they'll be either or I think sometimes Maeda will be on the left wing.
I think it's a good option to have, though. You know, having Maeda and having Kyogo in there, and they've still got Giakoumakis to come in as well. I don't know if they look to bring another striker in. I think they're probably quite happy there. As I say, midfield, they look very strong. I think I've been really impressed with Carter Vickers at the back. He looks very impressive. Carl Starfelt, still not overly convinced, but I thought he did well against Hibs. But for me, I just think another goalkeeper as a backup, because I just don't really think Barkas and Bain are really an upgrade on Joe Hart.
Yeah, I mean, Graham, I totally agree with that, because as much as I like Scott Bain, I don't think he's up to the standards of Joe Hart. But yeah, I want to ask you in terms of someone in the comments is talking about Jota and Carter Vickers potentially coming in for Celtic. Do you expect those two to be permanent Celtic players by the end of the transfer window?
Yeah, I think they will be. As I said, I've been really impressed with Carter Vickers. He's strong, he's athletic, he's very good in the air, he's dominant. I think for me, it's an absolute no-brainer that Celtic get him on a permanent deal. As for Jota, you know, he's still a young lad, but every time I've seen him, he just looks like a guy that's going to get you off the edge of your seat. He's an entertainer. And I don't think there's a lot of that in Scottish football these days. You know, we miss the kind of entertaining players. So I think Jota, if they can get him on a long-term deal, 100%, I think Celtic have to do it, because I think he's a very impressive player. He's full of tricks. He's quick. He can beat people. And as a wide player, that's what you're looking for. So I think definitely if they can get him signed up and get Carter Vickers signed up, 100%, I think it's something Celtic have to do.
Yeah, I mean, Graham, I've just seen in the comments somebody said that they would like to see Siegrist at Celtic. Do you think that would be a possible one?
Yeah, again, we spoke on the show last week about Siegrist and Xander Clark. For me, I would think Xander Clark's a better option, although having said that, he was kind of at fault for Hart's second goal on Tuesday, because he came out when he didn't really have to, and it made Janelli's mind up for him. But I like Xander Clark and Siegrist. I think, again, Siegrist is a very, very capable goalkeeper. So if Celtic were to move for him, I think that's a really good signing for them. But as I say, I'm a massive fan of Xander Clark as well. So I'm in two minds, but I think Siegrist is a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, Scott Howey in the comments has also said he would like to see Matt Macy of Sean Maloney's side. Do you like Matt Macy?
Matt Macy, the basketball player, is about 8'3". He's again a very good goalkeeper. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's very agile for a massive goalkeeper. I think he would be a good signing as well. But if it was a choice of Matt Macy, Xander Clark, or Siegrist, I personally, this is only my opinion, I would be going for Xander Clark. And I think, again, I've said on a couple of things as well, I feel sorry for Xander Clark, because you look at that Scotland squad, he's got David Marshall ahead of him, Craig Gordon ahead of him, Alan McGregor ahead of him. It's difficult getting in there. I think if he could play for Celtic, that would probably massively help with Scotland chances.
Yeah, the next thing that we're going to move on to, Graham, we're going to move on to the big Tuesday game, and that was Aberdeen against Rangers. Now, because there's been a lot of fallout with this game in terms of a lot of big choices that the referee didn't get right. So, do we think that VAR would be a very good option for Scottish football, Graham? And for the people watching, put in your comments, do you think VAR would definitely help Scottish football?
So I'm glad you said this, because I've had to be in my bonnet about referees all season. I think the standard of refereeing has been absolutely awful. I know most seasons is the same thing, but I don't know why this season's been far, far worse. They're making far too many poor decisions. Far too many big calls are getting made wrongly. I think the thing with VAR, and we spoke about this down in England as well, the problem with VAR in England isn't the VAR itself, it's the officials in that wee room that are making mistakes. If it comes into Scotland, it's the folk in those wee rooms that worry me. If they're making big calls, that's a massive concern for me. I think it can work. Would VAR have overturned that on Tuesday? I would hope so, but it depends who the referee is. I just think the referees this season, for me, the only good refereeing performances we've seen were when the referees here went on strike and we got the foreign refs in. That was it. They've been absolutely horrendous this season. The amount of poor decisions, the amount of big calls they're getting wrong. And for me, it's a lot of calls that shouldn't be getting made wrong. They're not difficult choices. What I don't want is for what it's like in England, for like offsides and that, when they start drawing these wee lines with crayons on, I don't want that for offsides. If it's offside, call it as offside. It has to be for clear and obvious decisions. And for me, I think that call on Tuesday was a big call and the referee got it wrong. So if VAR is going to help that, yeah, bring it in. But only bring it in if the referees are going to get trained properly on how to use it.
Yeah, we have Bruce in the comments who agrees with you. He says that the standard of referees that control VAR is not good enough, so he doesn't think it would be beneficial. But he still says he would be in favour of it to help with the big the big choices during the games. In terms of the big talking points, now the big talking point was that Aberdeen should have had a penalty, and also that that the Rangers player shouldn't have been sent off. So what was your thoughts on those two choices made by the referee, Graham?
I'm probably going to upset the vast majority of Rangers fans, but for me, the first one, the penalty, it's a penalty. Alan McGregor comes rushing out. He knows what he's doing. He's going to get nowhere near it, and I think you can see that he kind of raises his leg up and he catches Hedges. For me, it's a penalty. I think, I mean, I've heard as well what the referee had apparently said afterwards. There wasn't enough contact or there was minimal contact. It's a penalty. Listen, let's get it right. It's a penalty kick all day long. For the sending off, it probably is a little bit harsh, but when you're on a yellow card already, you have to be careful. I've been, again, as a Hearts fan, I've been a massive fan of Ryan Kent. I think he's a very, very good footballer, very talented, but at times he has a rush of blood to the head. I think on this occasion, I think it might be a little bit harsh, but on the penalty, I think it was a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, something I found very strange, Graham, and it was Barry Ferguson in the paper today was saying that he felt that Lewis Ferguson should have retaken the penalty. Now, I find that very harsh because Lewis Ferguson is his nephew, and you think that he would be a bit supportive of him, but I found it strange that he says that that he was basically hoping that the penalty wouldn't go in, and it should have been retaken.
Yeah, again, we see this a lot. I mean, they used to have this guy on the line behind the goals, and he would kind of pick up on that kind of thing. I don't know if they're still there, but it doesn't look like it. For me, I think it was the right call not to have to take it again. Listen, Barry Ferguson has probably got split loyalties here. He's got Lewis Ferguson as his nephew, but he's also an ex-Rangers player, ex-Rangers captain, Rangers fan, so he's probably got split loyalties there. I think it was the right call that it wasn't retaken. And listen, who's to say if it hadn't been retaken, Ferguson wouldn't have scored anyway. It's just one of these things. It's, it was taken, he scored it, I just have to move on.
Yeah, the next thing I just want to ask you, Graham, do you think this could be a real turning point for Aberdeen in their season under Stephen Glass?
I think it has to be. It has to be a springboard. They've now played Rangers twice recently, and they've got two very, very creditable draws. The game at Ibrox, I thought they played very, very well. 2-0 up, should have really won the game. And I think they played very well on Tuesday night as well. I think they do have a lot of really good players. I said before that we spoke about this in a couple of group chats, that when Stephen Glass was appointed, I thought it was a strange appointment. He didn't have a lot of experience. His first couple of games, he did really well. Then he went on a poor run. And you have Dave Cormack going on Radio Scotland talking about Aberdeen. Was that the right thing to do? At the time, yeah, it probably was, because it actually helped Aberdeen. I think Stephen Glass he's trying to get a system and trying to get a way of playing. I said at the time as well that Scott Brown and Lewis Ferguson midfield was a really good partnership. I do like the strikers they've got. I've been a massive fan of the Jet. He's a really good player. And I think as well, Ramirez is a good signing as well. I think this has to be a springboard for Aberdeen. They've got a lot of very good players there. They've got really good support. They have to use this and build on that. I don't think they will be in the top 3 or 4, but you never know, they might. Football's a funny old game, as I say. Things can change. It just takes a couple of good results and they could be on a good run. So they have to use this as a springboard.
Do you think they will bring any new players in during the January window? I know I've got 14 days left, Graham.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they probably need to add another striker. As I say, I do like the players they've got, but I think they need something a bit different up there. I think midfield, as I say, Ferguson and Brown is a good partnership. They maybe will bring in 2 or 3 just to kind of freshen it up a little bit. They've still got Johnny Hayes, who's been around for ages, but he's still a phenomenal athlete and very good footballer. So I think if they can get a few new players in and then build on that result and performance on Tuesday, because they were very, very good. They limited Rangers to very few chances, to be honest. And I think they'll be disappointed that with the extra man that they didn't go and win the game. But from what I've seen so far, Stephen Glass is trying to get a system. He's trying to get a way of playing. And if they can just get a couple of new players in just to kind of freshen that up a little bit, I think Aberdeen will be absolutely fine this season.
Yeah, something I just want to go on to very quickly is the fact that Ross County at the moment are playing very well, Graham. What do you make of the way that Malky is going about it? Because I've been very impressed with them, and they got a very impressive win, even though they were down to 10 men on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'd like to publicly apologise to Ross County manager Malky Mackay, because I said a while ago that I thought he'd be the first one sacked, so that might be wrong. I think they've been very good. They've been very impressive. They're trying to play a decent brand of football. And Regan Charles-Cook, for me, they've got an absolute standout in the league. I think he's been phenomenal. And that was a brilliant result against Motherwell on Tuesday. I actually thought Motherwell might win that. Losing the man didn't help. Sorry, was it Ross County that lost? No, was it Motherwell that lost the man? I can't remember. But I think Ross County have been very, very impressive. I thought they would be in real trouble this season, but they're kind of slowly getting themselves out of that. And I think, to be fair to Malky Mackay, he's done a very, very good job there. So I'm sorry, Malky, I was wrong.
Yeah, and their next game that they're going to play in the league is against Rangers. Would you give them a shot at that? Because we've got Brown Warrior in the comments says that Rangers are not the same defensively as they were at this stage last season.
Is that game at Ibrox or Dingwall?
No, it's at Dingwall at 12:30 on the 29th of January.
I think it'll be a very difficult game for Rangers. Dingwall is not an easy place to go, as Motherwell and numerous teams have found out before. A 12:30 kick-off, again, I'm not Michael Fisher, but the weather conditions as well could play a part. You don't know what it's going to be like up there. It could be windy or anything. But I think the way Ross County are playing just now, they will provide a really stiff test for Rangers. And I think as well, it's only a 4-point gap now, I think. So it's a massive game for Rangers to go up there and get a win. I think Ross County will fancy their chances. Why not? They're at home. And as I say, Regan Charles-Cook, for me, has been phenomenal this season. He's been outstanding. I don't know how much longer they'll hold on to him. I don't know if they'll get a bid in January, because I think there'll be a few teams that are looking at him, because he has been excellent so far.
Oh, Graham, thank you for saying Regan's been excellent, because that's the same name as me, So, no, but the next thing we're going to move on to is the slumping form of Dundee United. What do you make of them? Because they're a bit of a strange one, because they brought in Tony Watt, but they got beat by a not very impressive St Mirren side. even though they scored a fantastic goal through Jay Henderson. I don't know if you've seen that goal, Graham.
Absolute peach. Phenomenal strike. Probably it will get voted one of the goals of the season, and rightly so. I really like Thomas Courts. I think he's done a really good job. He's obviously struggled a lot this season. But again, we talk about style of football. He's trying to get a style of football there. He's been a bit unfortunate with injuries and stuff. I think signing Tony Watt now is a massive signing rather than wait to get him later. I think he will be a really good signing for United. I think it's just, again, one of these things, once you get on a slump, it's difficult to get out of that. They need to start picking up results. They need to start winning games again. But again, I really like Leandro Fuchs in midfield that plays for him. I think he's a very good player. I just think it's just one of these things, once you get in a really run of results, it's hard to get out of that. But I think if United can get a win in their next game and they just get a run of results together like Aberdeen need, I think, again, they'll be fine. I really thought they were going to be challenging with Hearts and Motherwell stuff for third. They've dipped off that now, but again, it just takes Hearts to have a slump in form, Motherwell to have a slump in form, United to kind of build on results, and they could be up there challenging again, but they need to start getting back to winning ways again.
Yeah, because I actually watched this game on Tuesday night, and I thought when Tony Watt came on, he made a big difference to them. I thought he played really well, and they were definitely unlucky not to get a draw or even win the game, because I thought St Mirren were a bit lucky with that.
Yeah, United had a few chances, and Tony Watt, for me, I've been really surprised how well he's done this season. We all know he's a bit of a journeyman. He's been around a lot of clubs, and it just takes that kind of one club to settle you. And he had that at Motherwell. I think he'll get that United now, because I think Thomas Coates will get the best out of him, like what Alexander did at Motherwell. I think once Tony Watt gets his first goal, he will score quite a few, but they just need to start getting results. We all talk about it as a results-driven business, and it is. They need to start getting results. So I think their next game will be massive for them. They need to win it. And, Mark McNulty, again, he's been injured as well. Another good player. They're missing that bit of a spark. And I think Tony Watt will give them that.
Yeah, Graham, the next bit I just want to move on to is one of the ties of the Scottish Cup weekend, and that is St Johnstone, the cup holders. They are taking on Kevin Thompson's side. Now, do we think, Graham, that this could be a real springboard for St Johnstone? Because, as we know, they're sitting bottom of the league, and this could be a real pivotal game to try and make sure they grow in confidence and have a real good second half of the season.
I can't believe you've not picked Auchinleck Hearts as tie of the round. That's shocking, mate. No, I think St Johnstone, obviously on Tuesday night, I watched them against Hearts, and they had spells in the games where they looked okay. I think Cameron McPherson looks a very talented player. He had a moment I think it was the first half. He brought the ball down in the first half with a brilliant touch. But he just, I just think United, St Johnstone, they're such a shadow of what they were last season. Double cup winners, comfortably top six. It's funny how football can change. Davidson's he's struggling just now. I think the signing of Chifchi, once he gets up to full fitness, I think he will score goals. He didn't really have a lot of chances on Tuesday. He maybe had one really decent chance that he couldn't finish. Again, St Johnstone just need to get a win somewhere. This will be a hard game for them. Kelty Hearts, we know how good they've been so far. New Central Park is not an easy place to go. This will be a really tough test for St Johnstone. You talk about cup shocks. Would this be a cup shock the way St Johnstone are played just now? I don't think it would. I think if you're picking a game, if you're picking a game that could be a cup shock, this is probably going to be it. But Kelty at home will fancy this. St Johnstone really need to win this game. However they do it, whether it's 1-0, anything, they just need to win and get a win and run going. But I just feel a bit sorry for Callum Davidson. He's lost a lot of decent players and he just can't get any consistency in that team. But again, 1 or 2 results and they could be back on the up again. But this is such a difficult tie on Saturday. It really is a tough game.
Yeah, because I see someone in the comments is saying St Johnstone are possibly a one-season wonder. Would you say that? Because they obviously had a great season last year, but hopefully from their point of view they can bounce back and hopefully put a good run together.
I just think anyone in this league, apart from Rangers or Celtic, can go down. It can happen to anyone. It happened to Hearts. It's happened to Hibs. It can happen to anyone. St Johnstone at the moment are in that position where they are really struggling. And I think last season what they did was so spectacular, and I don't think it'll happen again. To win both cups for a club like St Johnstone in one season is phenomenal. And obviously getting to Europe as well, playing those ties at McDermott Park. And listen, it was great to see McDermott Park full for those cup ties. It maybe it's a bit harsh to say one season wonder, but I can understand where the guy's coming from. They are so struggling this season. They just can't buy a win just now. I just think Saturday is such a massive, massive game for them. They have to get through this tie no matter how they do it, whether it's a shot off someone's bottom, whatever, just get a win. They need to get some kind of confidence in that team. As I say, on Tuesday, they had moments, but it wasn't consistent enough. I think Hearts were very comfortable. But if they can just get this win on Saturday, get a bit of confidence going in the team, I think if Nadir Chifty can get his first goal, because if you're a striker for a new club, you want to get your first goal as soon as you can. If he can get that quickly, he might go on a run. But they really have to win this game on Saturday. It's so big for them.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like John White here, as if I'm getting someone to sack. But do you think if Davidson doesn't get the victory on Saturday, then they could be under real pressure?
It sounds so bizarre to say after what they did last season, but it's a results-driven business. If you're struggling, if you can't win games, you've got to try something different. It would be extremely harsh, given what he's done, for him to then be in the dole queue, to be honest. But I think if they don't win on Saturday, it's a tough call for the St Johnstone chairman to make. Does he bite the bullet and say, look, we have to get rid of you? Listen, what you've done is phenomenal. We can't thank you enough. Or do they say, right, we'll give you 2 or 3 more games to see how you get on? This is just such a huge, huge game. I mean, Kelty Hearts will be looking at this thinking, of all the clubs in the Premier League you want to be facing at the moment, it is St Johnstone, a team that's lacking confidence. Do you know what? I'm going to say I think St Johnstone will win this, but I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be 2-1 to St Johnstone. But as I say, this is so hard.
Okay, so everyone in the comments, if you can let us know where you think the shot is going to be this weekend, and we'll definitely read out those comments. But I'm going to go 2-1 Kelty, Graham.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me. If it's going to be a cup shock, it might well come at Kelty. But I found this before when you watch cup ties and you think, that'll be the shock, and it doesn't happen. But I mean, honestly, I really think St Johnstone need to win this just to get a bit of confidence in that squad, because they looked. I mean, I don't think they looked beaten on Tuesday, but you can see a lot of the players kind of after the second goal and their heads kind of dropped a little bit, and they're thinking, where are we going to score from here? We can't score, and that's a massive thing. They're not scoring goals. I think in this window, if they can get another couple of strikers in, because yes, Chifty's a good signing, but they need more. What surprised me on Tuesday was the fact that Chris Kane didn't start. I think Chris Kane, for me, is St Johnstone's best striker by a mile. Stevie May, again, he didn't really do a lot on Tuesday, so they need to get more strikers in for me.
But Graham, like you said there, they've already got 4 strikers. So if you're Davidson, you probably say, well, I've got 4 strikers in, but I know he would probably like 1 or 2 more. That's the only problem. He's got 4 strikers, so maybe someone like Stevie May, maybe it's time. Maybe as much as he's been a great player for St Johnstone, maybe it's time for him to say bye to the club.
I think it's trying to get a balance for your strike partnerships. I mean, for me, it's only one game, but for me, Chifty and May just didn't really work. They got in each other's way a little bit. They didn't make the right runs. I think Chris Kane is a guy that does make good movement. He's quick. He can get in behind. And I think St Johnstone needed that on Tuesday. They didn't really have it. For me, as a St Johnstone fan, I'm playing Chris Kane every week because he's by far the best striker. But it's then who you play with him. They've not signed Chifty to sit on the bench. So I think probably he would start. But they have to start scoring goals. They need to get goals from somewhere. Could that start on Saturday? I think it has to.
Yep. So another game that catches my eye, Graham, is Derek McInnes taking on Dundee United in his first home game. This seems to me to be one of the ties of the round.
That's a massive game. Derek McInnes back in Scottish football again, and there's no doubt he's been a fantastic manager for Aberdeen. I was very surprised when he got the Kilmarnock job, I will admit that. But I think he will get the best out of that team. And I think that might be the difference between them getting promoted and not getting promoted. I think Dundee United, as we spoken about earlier on, Thomas Courts has had a difficult time. If Kilmarnock beat United, that's not going to be a massive shock because Kilmarnock are a Premier League team in everything but status at the moment, but Kilmarnock are a Premier League team. This is a really big game and it's a tough one to call. But I would think, for me, I would go home advantage and I actually think Kilmarnock would win that. And I'm going to say 2-1 Kilmarnock. But we all know my predictions are awful, so it might well be 2-1 United. You never know.
Yeah, Graham, we've definitely got a big week in the Scottish Cup coming up. In terms of Celtic and Rangers, do you expect, even though they're playing lower league opposition, do you expect them to play a strong team?
I think they will go strong as they can. I think they can both afford to rest players if they want to. But I think in terms of progressing the next round, Rangers at Ibrox tomorrow against Stirling Albion, you would expect Rangers to win that comfortably no matter what team they put out. But I think they will go strong. For me, I think you have to respect the tournament and respect the team you're playing against. So I think I would hope that all Premier League teams would play their strongest sides, no matter who they're against. I just think it's something they should be doing anyway. But if Celtic and Rangers were to rest players, it's not going to make a massive difference because they've got a big squad. So yeah, I do fully expect both teams to field as strong as they can. I know Celtic are away at Alloa on Sunday. Again, you'd expect Celtic to win that comfortably. So for me, if there's any young players there, it might be a chance to play them, but I think you go as strong as you can and get the games won early.
Yeah, the next thing I just want to ask you, Graham, is in terms of VAR, I've seen that it's going to take 700k for each top flight club to bring into place. Do you think we should be looking for some sort of sponsorship for this to be brought in? Because obviously, if you're looking at it from an Aberdeen point of view, Stephen Glass was saying the other day that if the VAR was brought in, then his side would have won 2-1 because they would have had that penalty that would have been brought up.
Yeah, I think they need to get help getting this in. I think, as I said earlier on, for me, VAR is not the issue. It's the folk in that room that use it. They have to use it properly. They have to be trained properly in how to use it. I think VAR is a good thing. If it comes into Scottish football, fantastic. I think it's needed. I could imagine, though, could you imagine an Old Firm game being decided by VAR or an Edinburgh Derby being decided by VAR? It would be absolutely mental. But I would like to see it brought in if it's used properly. I don't like how they use it in England. I don't like the fact that for offsides, they draw these daft wee lines on things to prove some of these pinkies offside. That's not what it's there for. It's to be used for clear and obvious decisions like what happened on Tuesday night. So if it's going to be brought in, I've got no problem with that. And listen, if it's going to cost a lot of money, then get some funding for it, but bring it in. But only if the referees that are going to be using that use it properly.
Yeah, Graham, because one point I did see last night, it was from Rob McLean. He was saying that one thing that possibly could help is if we make the referees become full time. But I don't think that'll make a difference because you can get these guys exercising, going to the gym every day, but I don't think that'll make them make their choices any better. Because if you look at it, I think the VAR would just take 2 seconds to sort these penalty claims on offsides out in the matter of 2 seconds.
You would hope so. I mean, it takes about 10 minutes in England for stuff they use it for. My thing with referees is, I've said this before, I know it's not going to happen, but managers make mistakes and they have to come out after a game and explain why they've made a certain decision. Players make mistakes, they get dropped the next week. A referee makes a mistake, who are they accountable to? Nobody. They get the next game the next week. I think I would like, again, I know this won't happen, but I would love it if they mic'd the referees up and we could hear what they were saying, like they do in rugby. Because I think there's a lot of things that referees, they're only human. They make mistakes, we all do, but they have to be made accountable for them. If they make a big mistake, come out and say why they've made that decision. So folk can then say, right, fair enough, you've come out, you've explained why you've done that. It's the not knowing why they've made a certain decision that is annoying to supporters like myself, like you, like every fan. We just want to know why this has been made. So mic them up. Tell us why they've made a decision. I think for offsides, if it's blatant, what I don't like in England, and listen, they do this everywhere, I think, but what I don't like is when the assistant raises his flag 10 minutes after the incident. If it's a blatant offside, lift the flag. Stop waiting till about 10 minutes later. That annoys me. I think referees, if they bring in VAR, are they going to be any better? Probably not, but I'm hoping that it will help them.
Yeah, I mean, Kieran in the comments agrees with you. He's saying that slow-mo replays don't help referees, which I don't get, because if you're going to give slow-mo replays, then what is the point of showing a specific moment in a football game in slow motion? Because that's not what happened in real time.
No, exactly. What I find honestly hilarious is when the referee in England, especially, is called to the monitor. He goes to the monitor, he makes a decision, and then the players still moan, even though the referee's actually seen the decision on the monitor. You're going to get players moaning anyway. But I think slowing it down, it's pointless. And I don't know, they don't seem to, from what I've seen as well, they don't seem to show things from like every angle. They only show it from like certain angles as well. They need to show it from every angle so the referee can decide for himself if that's the right call. I hope VAR gets brought in, but my worry is that the referees are just not going to use it properly. That's my only worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Scott in the comments is saying he agrees with you and we should bring in foreign referees again, Graham.
Honestly, that week we had the foreign referees is the best I've seen. There was no complaints, there was no arguments, every decision was bang on. Here, every week, it's the same thing. Referees are making poor decisions, making big calls, getting things wrong. And if you look at what happened in the Hibs Celtic game, you've got a player coming out and having a go at the referee, and he then gets banned for it. A referee makes a poor decision, nothing happens, he gets the next game. I think they need to be made accountable, referees, because for me, they're getting off too lightly with certain decisions. They get the next game. If they make a mistake, or if they keep making the same mistake, they should be demoted. For me, they shouldn't be getting the next game or getting cup finals. They shouldn't be getting big games.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting loads of people in the comments saying we'd take foreign referees in a heartbeat. That's from Red Scotland as well. So, yeah, thank you for your comments. The next thing I just want to touch on with you, Graham, is the fact that Celtic are playing at 5:30 on Saturday night. Now, this has got a bit of added spice because it's the ex-Rangers captain Barry Ferguson who'll be the manager. I'm very much looking forward to this cup tie, Graham, because as much as Celtic might play a very understrength team, I think it's an important game for players such as James McCarthy, Scott Bain to make a very good impression on Mr. Postecoglou.
Yeah, you've mentioned there, James McCarthy has not had a lot of game time. We know he's been struggling with injuries and stuff, and he's not really had a chance to get in the team. I think if you're Barry Ferguson, you'd be absolutely buzzing for this game. Getting a chance to take on Celtic at your own ground as well in the Scottish Cup. I don't think it's going to be a case of Clyde against Celtic like it was when Roy Keane made his debut. I do expect Celtic to win this game comfortably, but I think Alloa will be absolutely buzzing for this. All the players will be looking forward to this. And I think especially the kickoff time as well. It's a great kickoff time for it. I think Celtic will have a lot of players in there, as you said, will want to make an impression for Postecoglou, players that aren't getting a lot of game time. I think it's a good chance for, I mean, I don't know if Celtic will, maybe Giakoumakis might start this game possibly, maybe a chance to show what he can do. I think guys like Near Beaton as well, we all know what Beaton can do. He's a very good footballer.
Yeah, just to let Celtic fans know, I've just seen a photo of Matt O'Reilly at Celtic Park. He's been pictured at Celtic Park. Graham, is he a possible player that you think Ange Postecoglou might throw straight in?
I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, it's only a couple of days till the game. I think it's a difficult one. He might be on the bench. I think Alloa away, is that again you want to throw him into on his debut? I think he might maybe give him 10 minutes at the end. But listen, if the guy's comfortable, if he's a good player, which looks like he is, he won't have any hesitation in throwing him into that game. So I think he will probably be on the bench for that.
Yeah, Graham. The next thing I just want to ask you is James McPake. Now, James McPake, he came out in the press the other day, said he feels very under pressure. But and then the next sentence he said, Graham, he said that he's putting pressure on the senior players in the squad. Now he's saying he's under pressure, but then he goes and slaughters the senior players in the squad. Do you think that's a bad mix to come out and slag the senior players, or do you think that's just a wake-up call to players like Charlie Adam and people like that?
I think managers who are under the pressure, they will always look to the senior players like Charlie Adam. And I think he probably thinks that he'll get a reaction out of them. He's not going to go after younger players. He's always going to go after the senior players. A lot of managers do that. You know, if they're struggling, they will go after the senior players to make a point. I think that's why he's done it, because they'll react to it better. They're used to it. They're senior players. They're senior pros. They will just get on with it. I can understand why he's done it. I mean, I don't know if McPake is under massive pressure. I think, yes, he has struggled. He, again, but like most managers, struggle to get a tune out of Lee Griffiths. I know he wants to get Lee Griffiths back. Jason Cummings hasn't really done enough for me. Again, they are very talented players, but you just kind of get a tune out of them. They've got Killian Sheridan there. Again, he's been around the course as well. He needs to get the best out of these players, and I think going after the senior players, I think he's just done that to get a reaction from them, and I think he'll get it as well.
Yeah, Graham. I just wanted to finally ask you before we wrap up, and it's the Auchinleck Talbot and the Hearts game. Now, Auchinleck beat a Hamilton Accies side that were in the Premiership last year and drew 2-2 with Partick Thistle last weekend. Do you expect them to trouble Hearts, because Auchinleck obviously play in the junior football, but as you know, Graham, they've beaten some very very impressive sides in the Scottish Premiership in previous seasons.
After what happened against Brora last season, I am taking nothing for granted. This game worries me way more than it should. This is going to be a hard game. You know, going to Auchinleck Talbot is not going to be easy. But the last two occasions that Hearts have played Auchinleck Talbot, we've got to the cup final. One in 2012, got to the final 2019. So it might be a good omen. I know Robbie has said he's going to pick his strongest team, which I think is the right thing to do. But this game does worry me slightly more than it should, because I think Robbie needs to win this after what happened last season. He needs a cup run, and it has to start on Saturday. He cannot afford to lose this game. So I do expect a tough game, but I do think that Hearts will win this. But I'm going to go, I don't think it'll be easy. I think it'll be 2-0 to Hearts.
Yeah, and I just want to ask you in terms of Robbie, right? A lot of Hearts fans had a lot of disapproval for Robbie in the past 12 months, I would say, because of the style that they won the championship. But they had a very good run this season, and he's got the best win percentage of any Hearts manager in the past couple of seasons. Are the Hearts fans starting to warm to Robbie, or is the cup success overshadowed by this league form that they're producing this season?
He needs to run in the cup. For me, there's no doubt about that after last season. But I think a lot of Hearts fans, probably myself included, have backed him more this season. He's had a really good run so far. Sitting third in the league, he's got some really good players in. Get a couple of strikers, and I'll be more than happy with that. But I think he has kind of managed to get a lot of Hearts fans more on his side now. So hopefully Saturday will be the start of our epic cup run for us.
Yeah, and finally with that, as us went for 1 hour, I just want to thank you to the loads of comments and people tuning in. I appreciate every single one of them, and so does Graham. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another great night of Scottish football. Thank you for joining us.